Hey, it's Jack, no K, Jack in the attic. There's a little criminal sneaking up on me. Okay, so two things. Hello. Three things. She's just gonna be around. I can't control her. Second thing, I get this question a lot, so I'm just gonna say it at the top of the video. I'm wearing the Girl Cult gloss slash stain on top. This is color J75, on top of a regular black lip stain from Sunset Makeup. I do recommend their Girl Cult product. I do not recommend the Sunset Makeup product because everything I buy from them, the component breaks instantly. So, say hello. She will not. So I have actually made several pieces. I have finished several pieces recently, so I figured this would be a good time to just go over everything. Are you sitting? What are you doing? Thank you. Okay, so nice. On to the fiber arts. Did I say three things off the top? Here's the third thing. I would like to issue a retraction. The person who I made this for, who I have now learned watches my videos and ruined his own Christmas present surprise for himself, has a normal-sized head. More normal than anyone. Regular, normal-sized head. Don't let anyone tell you differently. And I finally get to actually gift this today because I'm going to a friend's birthday party and the recipient will be there because he lives there. Okay, so that's not news. The real news is that I finally finished my Brioche bandana cowl. I made the big version, and it is pretty big. Big enough that I can get it over my hair without messing it up. Like how cute. It folds over. It can fold over to the inside or the outside to show sort of the contrast. I love it. I think this is more of an indoor warmth piece or like fall spring piece because I made the larger version. It's not like tight on the neck. It's not super warm or anything like that, but I think it's really cute. Brioche ended up being easier than I thought. It looked pretty questionable before well, I didn't block it. I did just hand wash it and lay it flat to dry, which I find really evens out the stitches without having to go through the entire blocking process. I don't think this is a revelation to any of you, but point being, I just hand washed, laid it flat. It's still a little wobbly, but even that fixed like so many of the problems I thought this piece had. There are still several errors, of course. This is my first time knitting brioche at all. I would love to keep experimenting with it, so I'm very pleased with the outcome. I feel like I'm going to wear this a lot. I've already worn it like 3 times this week. The next thing I want to talk about is a piece that I'm wearing. We talked about this either in my last video or the one before that. I don't know anymore. I'm getting to the point where my videos are blending together in my mind and I don't know what is what. But I talked about making sleeves, and I did. This was a basic raglan pattern that I kind of adapted. It already had written in the pattern short rows to raise the back neck, which I appreciate. I really just spaced out and stopped talking for like 90 seconds because I'm watching icicles melt. What was I saying? So the short rows in the back were already written into the pattern. So I used that existing set of instructions to add short rows to the lower back to come around the, okay, well, if you didn't know I have an armpit tattoo, you do now. So I made extra short rows to bring the back lower to accommodate adding a sleeve, if that makes any sense. So I did 2 chunks of short rows to keep the front shorter than the back, and the back is both taller and longer than the front. There are so many better ways I could have explained that, but it's too late now. So the sleeves were just straight sleeves. They're just a tube. I did rather long ribbing, just preference. And this is the Kobu yarn. The body, you can probably tell, came out a little bit too big. I really thought this yarn was going to shrink in the wash, and it really just didn't. I even dried it on hot to give myself the best opportunity for success, and it just was not there. It didn't shrink. It should have shrunk, and it didn't shrink. So what I did instead was a little elastic thread. I used like a surface slip stitch and crocheted around the edge of the bottom and the neckline to just sort of tighten it up a little bit. It's still a little bit looser than I would like, but it's definitely way more wearable, and I'm pretty happy with it. So I'm gonna keep it this way. I definitely want to make another pair, probably black and white striped. Probably just the sleeves would be striped, because stripes and short rows just don't get along in any way that I have been able to discover. If you know some secret about stripes and short rows, please let me know, because I have been searching for months trying to figure out a way to make them be friends, and it's just not happening. So speaking of the snow and ice, right before last week's massive snowstorm hit, I realized how weird is it that I knit and crochet and I really don't have many warm winter accessories, because I use a lot of cotton and linen. So when I make little accessories, they're usually accessories. And that's strange. We know I live in the Midwest, where I experience every weather situation possible. So what is with this lack in my wardrobe, especially when I possess the skills to fix it myself? So basically, the night before the storm hit, I grabbed a wool yarn that I have been just sort of hanging on to, waiting for the right project. I bought it for something else and it just ended up not being quite right, and so I've just held on to 3 balls of this yarn, which is the Superwash Merino by K&C yarn. Oh, okay, this is called the Superwash Wool Luxe by K&C. It is allegedly a sport weight yarn. I don't think so. I don't think so. I've knit some swatches with this before, and it knits at a DK gauge very easily. I have even gotten it to work at a worsted gauge. So what's that about? So basically, I started a little corner to corner triangle shawl. I stopped at like a large kerchief size, wore it because I needed it, and then I added some more length, stopped, washed it, wore it because I needed it, and then I added the last ball. So that's why there's this like pretty clear distinction. This part has been worn and washed a lot. This section has not. I think this ball of yarn may just be a little bit darker too. I'm not sure how much of that is going to wash out. But basically, I wore this as I was making it a lot last weekend. And now it is a full-blown shawl, and honestly, I love it. It is genuinely so soft and so warm. I have been more into knitting than crochet lately in general, but I'm really glad I picked this up as a quick, sort of necessary crochet project, because it really saved me taking my trash out in a literal blizzard. Literal blizzard. And then it was wet, and then I had to wait to crochet more onto it, because working with wet yarn is like the grossest thing ever. So there is no pattern for this. It's just the corner to corner stitch, which I actually had not used before, and it's so much fun. It's very easy to pick up. It's very easy to like stop at any given point and just continue where you left off. Obviously, because that's exactly what I did multiple times throughout this project. I'm excited to actually wash it and see if this blends in more, because on camera it's looking pretty stark. But I do have confidence that the sort of fuzz effect that this got from washing will help blend these two colors together. And if not, I always fold it over to wear it anyway, so I don't know that it's gonna matter too terribly much. Like, I will have it folded. and wear the triangle part in either the front or the back. So actually it's not gonna matter even a little bit. Still, I think it's going to work. Anyway, the corner to corner stitch is actually so easy that half of this I made while on the walking pad watching Star Trek. Another thing that I'm still working on, you've already seen, is the Autumn Leaves linear top. I have just been knitting stockinette, so the only thing that's really exciting about this is being able to see how the colors are coming through in the stockinette. It's truly beautiful. There is more yellow and like almost brown in this yarn than I thought, but I'm really liking how it's working up. The purple in there is so pretty. So again, this yarn is by WheatlesCo. It is the Lore Witches Edition casting circle colorway. A lot of words. I'm very pleased with it so far. However, I'm probably going to put this on a little bit of a hiatus so that I can work on the heliodress more, because I definitely want to get that done before like March probably. I want to have a couple months of somewhat cold weather to wear it in, since I do plan on adding sleeves and I'm using the cotton merino wool. I just keep saying stuff that's wrong. I'm using the cotton merino yarn by Drops. Using a yarn with wool in it. I want to have it finished before spring actually sets in. So again, I'm really loving this piece. I'm not putting it down because I'm not enjoying it. I'm putting it down because I know it will be easy to pick back up. And it will be a more spring appropriate top since it's cropped, short sleeves. Sleeves is a strong word for what's going on in this pattern. It's 2 rectangles. But the approximation of sleeves would be closer to a short or half sleeve. So again, I think this will be more appropriate for spring, so I'm gonna switch my focus to the heliodress. So the birthday party I'm going to today, I did make a couple of little things for the birthday girl. This piece I still need to weave in a few ends, and I need to steam it to get the shape to cooperate a little bit. But basically what happened was I saw someone on Instagram wearing a hat. I instantly became obsessed with this hat. It was nowhere in the caption or the comments like what this hat was, but I could see that it was crocheted. So I started looking up some search terms, and the terms that got me what I wanted was hexagon star crochet beret. So imagine that in your mind. And here's what it looks like. It's just so cute. Okay, so I want one now. Can I show it to you with my hair the way it is? Kind of. You get the idea? Wait, this actually kind of rules. If I had one, I would just pin it to my hair. Hold up. Can I make one? Can I make myself one in the next 3 hours? Because I really like this. Okay, so that settles it. I'm making myself one. This one's not for me. This one is for my friend. I will, of course, link all the patterns I'm talking about. This one I bought on Etsy. It was actually only like $2.75, really reasonable pattern price. I will also say, I thought it was looking too small as I was making it. I was like, there's absolutely no way this is going to fit an adult human head. No, it's perfect. It's perfect. I hate trusting the process. It makes me nervous. I don't want to trust anything. This is actually sort of a more crochet heavy video than normal. I will have to call this a fiber arts podcast instead of a knitting podcast in the title. And I've talked about this before. I do not agree with the word podcast in this context. I think it's incorrect. However, it's the term everyone agreed on before I got here. So I'm just going to go with that. And it's good SEO. My next crochet piece is this my final piece that I'm talking about today? I think it is. No. Sorry, we'll come back to the crochet piece. The other thing I made for the birthday girl, I made one for myself as well. This is not yarn at all. This is just, I got it in my head that I needed to do this, and so I did it. Basically, I keep getting advertised to, and it got in my head real bad. So you may recognize this book when I talked about it weeks or months ago, because this is the book I read at night, so I read 2 pages and then I fall asleep, so I'm never going to finish it. Point being, laying in bed reading a book is not the most convenient thing, and the internet got, again, in my brain that I needed a product to solve that. So they make little things that go around your thumb that like hold the pages out so that you can hold it one-handed and it won't like flop closed. But I didn't want to buy one, so instead I bought glow-in-the-dark Sculpey, and I made these ugly little they're really not pretty, but they really glow in the dark, I have to say. The glow-in-the-dark capabilities of the Sculpey clay is truly incredible. So I made 2 of these one night for fun in the middle of a snowstorm. Okay, the cat's back. Anyway, in the middle of a snowstorm, once I realized that the power wasn't going to go out and I had access to the oven, I just started shaping these. I don't know what to call this shape. It kind of looks a little bit like an excited ghost. The idea is you can put it on your thumb and it will hold the book pages open for you. So these are not the cleanest sculpt in the world. They're a little lumpy, they're a little thick. Lyra, what are you doing? But they work, and I'm very pleased by how well they work. So again, I made 2, one for myself, one for my friend. I think the wider this bottom angle is, the better it works, so I'm gonna give her the one that's slightly wider. And I can say all of this because this video is not going out until after I go to the party. This one's wider, so this one's for her. Keeping this one. So again, that's my only non-yarn project in this video. And while I'm on a tangent, I need to point out that this blanket is not made by me. It was made by my great-grandmother, so this is in my blood. Hello. So the final crochet project that I have is actually a pattern test for Nessa's knots. I have pattern tested for Nessa's knots before. She's absolutely fantastic to test for, just like the nicest person. Why are you yelling? Just, again, the nicest person, like absolutely great to test for, would test for them like anytime, anytime. So this is the 6 feet under scarf. Very cute repeating coffin pattern. I don't do a ton of tapestry crochet, so you can tell in the first couple it's a little rough and then it gets better as we go on. So this will absolutely be the end that I throw over my shoulder and no one will see it. I chose to do the alternating colors myself. It's in the pattern a solid color and then the contrast color for the coffins. But I couldn't decide, and I knew that black and white was probably already going to be taken by someone else. I got a little bit of a late start on this pattern because of the snowstorm. I was very much snowed in for a few days. I did end up adding an extra row between the repeats so that I can do an even number of each color. But other than that, this is the pattern exactly as written. It is a surprising amount of fun. I get very excited to work on this project. Very weird to be sitting on the couch 5 minutes to bedtime saying, no, one more coffin, just let me do one more coffin. Talking to myself. I am in charge of my own bedtime. In theory. But you know who's actually in charge of my bedtime? Yarn. Yarn is in charge of my bedtime, and it is in charge of my life in many ways. So this is an ongoing pattern test. The test ends around the end of this month, and the pattern should be coming out pretty soon after that, so I will obviously share that pattern when it comes out. but right now it is very much in progress. Another cool thing about this pattern is it has written instructions as well as a chart, so whichever version you prefer, it has both. Very handy. I have been hoping so much that I could become the type of person who just sits down in front of the camera and can talk and say a bunch of normal things that make sense and minimize editing, and that's not going super great. I think it is getting better. Maybe this is a little backwards, but that is something I'm working towards, is being able to put out something that takes less work. Yeah, that seems a little backwards, but it also doesn't help that I have to edit out. There's an airplane. I was about to say airplanes and very loud cars. I would love to be able to hear trains so that I pause for train noises so I can cut that out as well, but I simply do not hear trains until they are in the recording and I am editing. So if you hear a train, know that in the moment there are no trains in my mind whatsoever. The trains are not here. I don't hear them. Train noises in the background is just such a large part of my life that it is not a part of my life at all, you know? On a completely unrelated note, I'm thinking as things warm up and as I am out of my home a tiny bit more, maybe I will include a little bit more like sort of vlog adjacent footage, either within these videos or sort of at the end, depending. I don't know. Just a thought. Maybe it should have been an inside thought. I'm going to leave it there so that I can go get ready for this party. And by get ready, I mean I need to wrap these presents and weave in ends. So that's all I've got for you today. Go and live your best yarny life, and I will see you next time. Bye. She's not going to say bye, but here she is. Okay, bye for real.